Let me start by letting you ladies make some opening statements about what you thought 2018 brought as a year. Are we making progress in terms of understanding how significant the issues related to intimate partner violence and child abuse issues in Trinidad and Tobago from where you sit, Renee?
And good morning to everyone. Well, what I am really very, what I should say, passionate about is the mental health issues that we were dealing with in 2018 with regards to young people. I am the coordinator of a program called the CALM Project, which is children and adolescents living with mental health. We opened our doors in September of 2017. And to date, we've seen over 300 young persons with mental health issues. And it was very scary at the beginning when we looked at what was happening out there. A lot of persons don't realize there's something called cutting, where young people are literally mutilating themselves. That has opened a lot of eyes to a lot of persons, because we did not realize, I mean, it's a fad that has been taking place across North America for years, and that it was home. And we're speaking of young people from the ages of 12 who were literally mutilating their flesh, cutting their skins. We were actually shocked to see some young 8- and 9-year-olds attempting suicide. I had 2 young persons that came to our clinic. One of them tried to hang himself, and that was something that really brought a lot of things home as to what is happening out there with these young persons to cause them to react in this sort of manner. And a lot of them, it was abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, young boys and young girls. And this was their way of coping, either ending their lives or attempting to end their lives, or physically mutilating their flesh so that they would be able to feel. That's what they're telling us. And to empower these young persons to move on and to be part of the society is what our challenge is right now.
I think with respect to our line of advocacy, I think the socialization process of young men, especially because women are disproportionately affected, for example, with respect to gender-based violence. And I think that whole idea of what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine, is the definition needs to be revised, and how we treat with our young boys, our sons, our uncles, our fathers, throughout.
Roberta?
Yeah, you started by asking if there's been progress, and I am by nature a fairly optimistic person, but I would have to say if there has been progress in Trinidad and Tobago around ending gender-based violence and domestic violence, it has been very slow and inadequate progress. So we ended 2017 with the murder of Samantha Isaac, who had already also filed an application for protection order, and in the face of an application for protection order, she was killed by her former partner after making several reports to the police. And we opened the year in 2018 with a spate of murders of women, and the one that all of them stick out for me and us in the coalition, but I guess the one that really brought home the inadequacies of the justice system was the massacre in Labrie. The killing of Abigail Chapman, her daughter, her landlord, and the daughter's friend. And in the face of a report that she had made to the police in Labrie that her life had been threatened by a former partner, or someone she was in her life in the past, way in the past. And we know that domestic violence murders are entirely preventable. There's so many warning signs before the murder is committed, and the warning signs women are begging the justice system to take seriously. Their complaints, to act with alacrity and speed and effectiveness, and that is really not happening. Over 8,000 applications for domestic violence protection orders were made last year. Over 8,000. And this is a country in violence crisis, I would say.
Yes.
I think I heard on your station this morning the figure of over 500 murders this year. And what we know is that violence in the home and violence in the community, these things are connected. And how do we address that connection, and how do we raise children, just like Crystal was saying, the socialization, how do we raise children in a way that is non-violent, where we inculcate values of empathy and care and love and joy?
We speak of value systems. I almost said, what value systems? Because the school is blaming the parents at home. You are not training your children, and the parents are saying we are leaving that up to the schools. When we were younger persons, you were able to be disciplined by their community, because if the neighbor sees you misbehaving on the street, they were able to pick up a phone and call your parents, and you would be disciplined. In this modern, I would say modern, unfortunately, we're not able to speak out if we see a young person doing something, because the parents will now get into your face and they're going to be, why are you speaking to my child? Why are you speaking about your child? And it happens in the school system as well as on the streets, in your home. When you look at some of these videos, when they go to these areas, somebody's murdered and so on, you see these little 8, 9, 7-year-olds coming out and speaking. I am really shocked, because we were told that you were not supposed to speak out if adults are speaking, etc. We were taught values. We were taught, your behavior is supposed to be of a certain ilk. People are not caring about that. Parents are allowing their children to literally belittle them in public and to swear, and it's something that I have been looking at over the last 5 or 6 years when we were starting with our CALM program. Another thing we've noticed too, you were speaking about the young men and the violence and so on, something called resilient building. Because a parent would be driving her car going down the street and somebody gives them a bad drive, and the mother would or father would swear and curse, and the child is thinking to themselves, oh, so this is the way we deal with issues and problems. So when they get in, any sort of issues like that, their first reaction is not to talk about it or to deal with it in that manner, but literally an abusive reaction is what is going to be their first measure going forward in how to deal with an issue.